Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another another episode of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. It's been a minute. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick here, and like I say, it's been a minute, people. If you go on the Caribbean Cricket Podcast YouTube channel, you'll see that we haven't actually uploaded anything in about a week. And you know how it goes when you're a podcaster, when you're a content creator. Sometimes you've got other things to do in your life and you just can't upload the content, you know. But the reason why I wanted to record something tonight is tonight, in about just under 3 hours' time, is the start of game 14 of CPL 2023. And so that means we're roughly at the halfway stage, give or take, of the group stages. Now, 2 weeks ago, I recorded a video prior to the start of CPL. And what I would say to everybody who watches this one, go back and watch the one I did, if you haven't already, about, prior to the start of CPL, where I said, what do West Indies need to see from CPL? Forget Amazon Warriors, forget the Royals, forget the Patriots, forget Knight Riders, forget Kings, forget Talawars. I could not care less who wins CPL this year. I said, looking from a wider perspective, looking at the fact that in less than 10 months, we have a home World Cup coming up, a T20 World Cup. Given that context, this CPL in 2023, much like the one before 2021, when we kind of had to look at the importance of that CPL, and you could argue 2022 as well, what context is CPL playing for wider West Indies selection? So that's all I cared about heading into this CPL. And as we approach the halfway stage, I went back earlier today and I watched that video I recorded 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to repeat to you all the points I made in that video. I said that the most important thing for CPL 2023 vis-a-vis the West Indies was we needed to see the emergence of some exciting new young talent. That was number one for me. And the reason why I said that was my whole point was that when we think West Indian talent in CPL, we are still, some of the headliners in terms of West Indian talent are actually retired talent. People like a Kyron Pollard, a Dre Russ, a Sunil Narayan, a DJ Bravo, who happen to all play in the same team. None of those people ever play for West Indies again, you would assume, right? In most of those cases, if not all of those cases, right? And yet still, they're still seen as figureheads of the West Indian CPL brand. Outside of players like that, you look at a Puran, you look at a Hetmeyer. But when we're talking about global stars who you can market CPL around, who are West Indian, we don't have any, or we don't have many, I should say, or many new ones that are coming up through the system. Yes, the T20 side just beat India 3-2 at home. So I'm not trying to say that the West Indies T20 side isn't good. But in terms of fresh new talent in the T20 format, it's few and far between. So I said I want to see the emergence of some new players. I also said that looking at our last two T20 engagements, beat India 3-2 at home, beat South Africa 2-1 away, I said that we shouldn't allow ourselves to be hoodwinked or catfished by those results. As good as they were and as good as they are, there are still some clearly identifiable weaknesses within the context of the squad that we should be looking at CPL to see if it can identify either replacements or strength in depth. And I said, heading into this CPL, I wanted to see the emergence of an opener. I want another opener. Obviously, it's King and Mayers at the moment, but someone to challenge King and Mayers. Obviously, most people say Evan Lewis. I wanted to see the emergence of somebody who could add some middle order depth. So if a Puran got injured, if a Hetmeyer got injured, if a Rodman Powell got injured, who's the middle order depth to come in at 4, 5, 6? Do we have any? I said I wanted to see some emergence of some middle order depth. I wanted to see the emergence of another fast bowler who can bowl in the power play and or be an enforcer in the middle overs. I wanted to see someone new. I wanted to see an off spinner who could challenge Roston Chase, in an ideal world, be an upgrade to Roston Chase, but at the bare minimum, challenge Roston Chase. I also wanted to see a leg spinner play a critical role in CPL 2023. Obviously, you have your Hayden Walshes, your Yannick Karayas. Mansingh didn't get a pick. So I wanted to see a West Indian leg spinner play a prominent role in CPL. So that was 6 different things I asked for. Young players, an opener, middle order depth, fast bowler, off spinner to challenge Roston Chase, and a leg spinner. Well, halfway through the tournament, I think only one of those questions have been answered. One. And I pause because I think the fact that we've got to halfway through the tournament and I can only suggest maybe one name, 2 at a push, that can answer any of those kind of questions I posed at the start of CPL tells you one thing and one thing alone. And hear me out. CPL 2023, people, has been a dud. How about that? Let's call it as we see it. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm not here to protect no one. I'm not here to deliberately badmouth anything. I'm here to just call it as I see it. CPL 2023 at the halfway stage has been a dud. And when I say it's been a dud, I mean the quality of the cricket on show has bordered between piss poor and very, very mediocre. If you didn't hear what I said, for those down the side and up the back, let me tell you again. The quality on show at CPL 2023 at the halfway stage of the tournament has varied between being utterly piss poor to exceptionally mediocre. Now, take that as a slight on CPL if you want. I'm not bothered. I don't care. I'm coming at it from a West Indies centric point of view. How can our home tournament be piss poor? How can the quality that I'm watching game after game after game be piss poor? How can after 14 games or coming up to 14 games, I can't identify talent that can answer some very basic questions? How comes not one game in the tournament could you say has been a nail biter? How comes the last game that happened at the time of recording, TKR, which has about half their team, if not more, 35 and older, how can they defeat Barbados Royals that has the West Indies captain in it, has Jason Holder in it, has Carl Mayers in it? How can they defeat that team by over 113 runs? Come on, man. Come on, man. So you mean to tell me that TKR that has Pollard retired, Bravo retired, Russell 35, Narayan 35, never, both of them never to be picked again, Guptill 36. You mean to tell me that that team defeated a team with 3 of our current internationals in by 100 and piss poor? It's got to get better. It's got to get better. You see, for the remaining 15 games of the group stages prior to getting to the eliminator and whatnot, the quality of this year's tournament has to improve, because what we're watching right now from a West Indies centric point of view isn't good enough. It's not good enough. If I didn't have to watch, I wouldn't watch. And that's shocking. Me, one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, saying to you that if I didn't have to watch this tournament, I would not watch it, because that's how poor of a tournament it's been thus far. I'm not deliberately saying that, people. I'm calling it as I see it. So then I said to myself, you know what? Let me actually go look at the stats, because you know, on Caribbean Cricket Podcast, we love the stats, we love the facts. Let's go break it down, right? I said, okay. I said, let me look at the batters. I'm just going to read you all. These are the top 7 or 8 batters in CPL thus far, West Indians only. I'm not including the overseas players. Top 7. Listen for the names. Top 8, in fact. Brandon King, number 1. Kyron Pollard, number 2. Pollard's number 2, Retired, Pollard's been retired now for a year and a half. And he's the number 2 batter in CPL this year, West Indian batter. 117 runs at an average of 59, strike rate 186. Retired, Anyways, King 1, West Indian international already. Pollard 2, Rutherford 3, Fletcher won't be picked by West Indies again 4, Johnson Charles currently in the side 5, Hetmeyer currently in the side 6, Kemo Paul on the fringes of the side 7, Hope in the side 8. If I even go further, Robin Powell 9. That's the top 9 batters in the tournament. Evan Lewis is 10 and he's not even had a good tournament. That's shocking itself. Evan Lewis is the number 10 run getter in this tournament, West Indian run getter in this tournament, and he's not even had a good tournament. Those 10 names I've just given you as batters, Shafane Rutherford aside, there is no one there. There is no one there that helps answer my question about an opener to challenge King and Mayers. Yes, some of you are going to say Johnson Charles, but he's already in the team. So no one has put their name forward to challenge King or Mayers. Middle order depth, maybe you could say Shafane Rutherford if he ever indicates that he truly and means it, by the way, because I've heard Shafane Rutherford say many times before, want to play for the West Indies, want to play for West Indies, but that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. Let me not air the details, Shafane. Let me not air the details. If you really want to play for the West Indies, you would do what's necessary to play for the West Indies. Shafane Rutherford knows what that means. People around Shafane Rutherford knows what that means. But I will still respect the fact that he has shown up to some extent in this tournament. So Shafane Rutherford is the only person, when I looked at all of the data, that answers one of my questions definitively. Shafane Rutherford can be that middle order depth. If a Pooran got injured, if a Hetmeyer got injured, Shafane Rutherford is a left-handed batter. He could add to that middle order depth in case of injury. He's put his hand up thus far. In terms of people who want the details, Rutherford has 109 runs in 4 innings, 109 runs in 4 innings at 36 apiece, strike rate 142. Highest score of 62 not out. Okay. So Rutherford has put his name forward to some extent in what is a very poor St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots side. Other than that, there is no other name in there from a batting perspective that answers any questions for me. They're either pre-existing players in the West Indies team, they're already there, or in the case of someone like a Pollard, they have retired, or in the case of like a Fletcher, they're old now and they are very unlikely to be picked again. Andre Fletcher is about to turn 36. He's very unlikely to be picked again. So when I say things like this tournament has not been good, look at those names I just gave you as the top 10 batters. That says a lot. So then I said, okay, maybe it's just a batting issue. I said, let me turn to the bowlers. These are the top 8, 9, 10 bowlers in the tournament thus far in CPL for West Indian bowlers. Number 1, Roston Chase. Bear in mind that one of my questions was, is there going to be an off spinner? I wanted to see an off spinner in CPL, West Indian off spinner, challenge Roston Chase's position in the T20 side. Well, guess what, people? There ain't no one challenging. And not only that, Roston Chase so far is the top West Indian wicket taker in the tournament to blouse and skirt. Chase 1, Holder 2, both of those are already in the West Indian side. Kyrie Pierre 3, I'll get to him later. Check who's number 4, Andre Russell. 5, Gudakesh Moti, I'll get to him in a second. Drake 6, already in the T20 side. Shepherd 7, already in the T20 side. Ford 8, get to him in a second. And then check who's 9 and 10. Sunil Narain will never be picked again. DJ Bravo, retired. People, 3 of the top wicket takers, West Indian wicket takers, 3 of the top 10 West Indian wicket takers at the halfway stage of this tournament are players who are 35 and above, retired, or never to be picked again. The top 2, Jason Holder and Roston Chase, are already in the side. Romario Shepherd already in the side. People, who's emerging out of this tournament? Who's emerging out of this tournament? What benefit? What benefit are we seeing for West Indies cricket? But anyways, like I said with the batters, I said, okay, well, let me unpick the bowlers who are in that top 10 who are doing some bits and pieces. So Kyrie Pierre, 5 wickets at 8, economy 5.36. Brilliant. Bear in mind, though, that of those 5 wickets, he's only bowled in 2 innings. Of those 5 wickets, one of those innings was 4 for 20. So we just have to bear that in mind. I think that was, who did they? In fact, that's when St. Lucia beat Trinidad, I believe, right? Or Knight Riders. So one of those matches was 4 for 20, and he took a 1 for in the other match. We do not have enough of a sample size yet for Kari Pierre for anybody to start saying to me, right, Kari Pierre is putting his hand up for West Indies selection. And here's the other problem. Kari Pierre is a left-arm spinner. Akil Hussain is already ahead of him. Gudakesh Moti will be ahead of him. So irrespective of what Kari Pierre does, is he realistically leapfrogging Akil Hussain and Gudakesh Moti? Much less the fact that one place below Kari Pierre is Gudakesh Moti, who's also bowled in 2 innings only, also has 5 wickets. His 5 have come at 16, economy 10. So obviously Kari Pierre's got a significantly better economy, but we know about Gudakesh Moti. We know he's already on the fringes of West Indies T20 selection. So he is in terms of the pecking order, he's already above Kari Pierre. So that rules out Kari Pierre. Gudakesh Moti's already doing what he's doing. Before anybody mentions Akil Hussain, by the way, where is Akil? Akil, by the way, has taken 2 wickets in the tournament thus far. So again, I know some people are going to say, well, that shows that Akil Hussain that Gudakesh Moti is a better bowler than Akil Hussain, and so on and so forth. I'm fairly certain that's what some people say. But we already know that Akil Hussain, based on that India series, is in pole position. So the only other West Indian bowler who's in that top 10, who's either not retired or never going to get selected or not already in the squad, is Matthew Ford. Now, again, if you watch the video I did prior to the start of CPL, Matthew Ford was one of the players that I suggested was somebody to watch. So when I think about across all the top 10 batters, West Indian, all the top 10 bowlers, West Indian, really and truly, in terms of batters, Shafane Rutherford has put his hand up. But Shafane Rutherford is somebody who was already on our radar anyway. He's not really a new player, but he's put his hand up. If we take the fact that Shafane Rutherford's not somebody new to us, it means that only one player across the top 20 batters or bowlers, I guess if you want to put it that way, in the whole tournament is a new emerging player that is putting their hand up. And I would argue that's Matthew Ford. He's only bowled in 2 innings thus far. He's taken 4 wickets, 4 at 9 apiece, economy 5.66. I wouldn't call him express pace. I don't think he is that. I think he's a clever bowler. He's got a lot of variations. He's actually got a very deceptive Yorker. Swings it away from batters in and out, I should argue. But he's not express pace. But I would argue that if one of my requested kind of players that I wanted to see was a quote unquote fast bowler who can bowl in the power play or bowl in forcer overs in the middle overs, Matthew Ford is the only bowler I see putting his hand up to fulfill that criteria. I'm assuming that Andre Russell will never, ever get picked again. So Matthew Ford is the only player fulfilling that. So let's go back to the start again. I asked for 6 different things 2 weeks ago that I wanted to see from CPL 2023. Have we seen any young players emerge, batters or bowlers? If we count Matthew Ford, we've seen 1. Have we seen any openers put their hands up to threaten King or Mayers? No. And the only person you could potentially say is Johnson Charles. He's already in the squad. I meant someone who's not already in the squad. Have we seen anyone new put their hands up? No, not even Evan Lewis. Have we seen anybody suggest that we got any middle order depth? 1 player, Shafane Rutherford. Have we seen a fast bowler emerge? Express pace? No. Have we seen a medium quick bowler who's got some variety and intelligence? Yes, 1 player, Matthew Ford. Have we seen an off spinner? perform that could potentially upgrade him, Roston Chase, and take him out of the team? No. Have we seen a leg spinner do anything of any note? No. Those positions are the weaknesses in the West Indies squad. And at the halfway stage of our signature home tournament, I could only give you 2 players at best, who come anywhere close to fulfilling any of those criteria. We're down bad, people. We're down bad. And the reason why I say we're down bad is what we're effectively saying is the players that are already in our T20 squad, even the ones that you lot think are weak, even the ones that you lot think are a rucks, the evidence thus far, based on CPL 2023, is that's the best. That's all we got. That's the best of what we've got, because no one else is putting their hands up. If you disagree with me, by all means, get at me in the comments below. If you think this has been a fantastic tournament, get at me in the comments below. If you think there's an obvious player that I have missed that fulfills one of those criteria I've laid out, get at me in the comments below. If you think I'm being too harsh, get at me in the comments below. If you agree with me and you're like, you know what, Mash, this tournament has stank up to the halfway stage, get at me in the comments below. I'm not here to dig anyone out. I'm not here to push any kind of agenda. I'm just here to call it as I see it. My name is Machel St. Patrick here at one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, follow all the different apps. You can see it below. If you want to support the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, as ever, head to www.patreon.com/Carib Cricket. Nobody does what we do as good as we do. You know where to lock in, and I'll see you soon.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rules seem coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.